All right, welcome back. Today, we're going to tackle a concept that honestly promises to make one of the most intimidating parts of life way, way simpler. We're diving into the three-fund blueprint for minimalist investing.
Okay, let's just be real for a second. For a lot of us, when you hear the word investing, your brain immediately pictures, complex charts, confusing jargon, endless spreadsheets. It can feel like you've accidentally walked into an advanced math class you are not prepared for. It's a lot.
But what if it didn't have to be that way? The whole idea we're breaking down today is about cutting through all of that noise. It suggests a path that is refreshingly simple, something that anyone can understand. No finance degree needed.
So let's start with the big question. Why does investing feel so complicated in the first place? Well, a huge part of it is this obsession with finding the so-called optimal portfolio. And honestly, this is where most of us get completely overwhelmed.
I mean, you read this definition and it sounds great, right? The highest possible return for a certain amount of risk. Who wouldn't want that? The problem is, trying to actually achieve this perfect theoretical portfolio is what leads to constant tinkering, second-guessing, and frankly, a ton of stress.
And this is exactly where the philosophy we're looking at today just flips the script. Instead of chasing this super complex, always moving target, the main idea is to just simplify, like radically simplify.
So how do we actually do that? How do we make it simple? Well, the answer is actually pretty elegant. It's the three-fund solution. You can think of this as a simple but really powerful blueprint that gets you invested without all the usual headaches.
Okay, so let's look at this recipe. It is incredibly straightforward, with just 3 ingredients. First up, a US index fund. Second, an international fund. And third, a bond fund. That's it. That is the entire shopping list.
But just listing them out doesn't really tell the whole story. What job is each of these ingredients actually doing inside our portfolio? Let's break it down and see how they all work together.
The first 2 funds, they're like a team. Their job is to give you global reach. The US Index Fund basically buys you a small piece of all the biggest companies in the United States. Then the International Fund does the exact same thing but for major companies all over the rest of the world. So together, you're not just betting on one country, you're invested in the entire global economy. So what about that third fund, the bond fund? This is your portfolio stabilizer. We all know stocks can be a bit of a roller coaster. They go up, they go down. Bonds, on the other hand, are usually much more stable. So they act as a counterbalance, a cushion for when the stock market inevitably has a bad day. It's kind of like the anchor in a storm. Okay, so we have our 3 funds, but this minimalist blueprint has one last absolutely crucial ingredient that makes the entire thing work. And here's the kicker. It's not another fund you have to go out and buy. In fact, this last instruction is all about what you don't do. It's the simplest part of the plan, but for a lot of people, it's also the hardest. And there it is, the heart of the entire philosophy. Once you've set up your 3 funds, the final step is to forget it exists for 40 years. This just completely changes the game. It moves you away from trying to time the market and instead focuses you on patient, long-term growth.
40 years. That's the magic ingredient here. This is not some get-rich-quick scheme. It is a plan that is built on the power of compounding and market growth over a very, very long time.
So when you look at the timeline, it's almost comically simple. Step 1, set it up today. Step 2, just wait. You let time and the markets do all the heavy lifting. All the active work is done on day 1. The rest is about being passive and letting your wealth build.
So, when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway? Let's pull all these pieces together into one simple, minimalist blueprint that you can walk away with.
The whole philosophy really just rests on a few simple, powerful ideas. First, you've got to make a conscious choice to simplify and stop chasing that perfect portfolio. Then, you build a solid, diversified foundation with just 3 things: US stocks, international stocks, and bonds. But the real secret sauce is committing to that long-term, passive strategy. You have to trust the process and let decades, not days, do the real work for you.
And that really brings us to the final thought. A strategy this simple isn't just about money. It's about getting your time and your mental energy back. So the question I want to leave you with is this. If your investing was this effortless, what would you do with all that time you'd save? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.